for us to now have a look at the newspapers. And I can see here the Daily Nation goes with the headline, Hackers Paradise. And I see here this is with regards to, of course, the some of the cyber crime laws that were signed. And I see cyber criminals yesterday made several government websites, including State House, inaccessible and defaced pages by altering their visual appearance and content in yet another major security breach, coming amid repeated warnings by the Auditor General about system weakness. The attack exposes the state's laxity and puts the data of millions of Kenyans at risk. This is a story covered on page 4 and 5, and it says here several attacks later, audit reports are gathering dust on the shelves of many state corner offices. And it's important for us to look at some of the timelines here that we see that have happened over the years. March 2016, we see hackers strike KRA, allegedly leading to loss of 4 billion shillings. Alex Mutuku is charged as dozens of KRA staff are suspended. This is in 2016. In 2022, this happened with KPLC. Attempted hacking of KPLC's prepaid system leads to delays in token purchases. We also see in April 2023 with KAA that confirmed that a group of identified as Medusa breached its system but failed to steal any sensitive data. We also see eCitizen Public Hospitals. Anonymous Sudan claims responsibility for a distributed denial of service attack on the websites of eCitizen Public Hospitals and also universities. In July, also 2023, ministries and departments, a second attack claimed by Anonymous Sudan paralyzes websites of several ministries and also departments. So that tells you that we have had a series of these cyber attacks, and that's where we are as a nation. Of course, the worry builds up because the audit reports are gathering dust on the shelves of many state corner offices without much being done. Low turnout MERS, hiring of 10,000 police officers, a story covered on the Daily Nation. And I also see here why not primary heads oppose elevation of junior school teachers, a story that has been covered on page 6. We also see Safaricom to partner with Musk Starlink, a story covered on page 23. You can have a look at that as well. And I also see on the by-election part, Kindiki versus Gachagua, battle of the deputies in do or die poll contest. A story covered on page 10 of the Daily Nation. And I also see a beautiful story covered on the Daily Nation here saying, I am a nurse at the hospital that saved my life when I was a child. This is beautiful, very beautiful story. You can look at it on the Healthy Nation today. I also see why Kenyans miss cancer diagnosis in the early stages. This is important, for those maybe who have not been able to do their screenings. You can look at that as well. The Daily Nation is also covering Tanzania. Samia Suluhu unveils new cabinet and also drops 7 ministers. So the work has begun. The work is ongoing. Have a look at that. And I also see here, the Daily Nation also covering how MPs plan to cure duplication of public participation. That story has also been covered extensively on the Daily Nation newspaper. Now, when we come to the Standard newspaper this wonderful morning, we see the top page here having the headline, Police Bribe Racket. And it's saying here that a hard-hitting audit has laid bare a sprawling web of corruption at the heart of the police service, exposing a system where junior officers are handed daily cash targets and Kenyans are shaken down to meet them. This is interesting. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission report paints a picture of institutionalized extortion from matatus and border borders to bars and city traders, with officers threatened, transferred or framed if they fail to deliver. It details bribery cartels, compromised accident investigations, extortion rings, misuse of firearms, decaying infrastructure, and gaps in training, revealing a security system weakened from within. It's quite unfortunate because you see here they're saying that there's like a goal, today you're supposed to get a certain amount of money from the people. And of course now Kenyans are left with the burden that its citizens are the ones to fuel that it's a hole of corruption, a pit of corruption. Quite unfortunate. And I'm seeing here 1,000 shillings per week protection fee demanded from each vehicle, 200 to 1,000 shillings bribes demanded per stop from Matatus on Ngong Road route. And I'm glad that this has been exposed, because every time, even when you're in public transport, you see this happening, whereby the driver will be holding something and the police would drop it, even when maybe even it's an unroadworthy vehicle. So that definitely has led to a lot of things happening that are not good in our nation. And I also see the Standard also covering struggling with finances. Here is how year-end review can reset your money life. So at the end of the year, you just do a little bit of a review, see what you have spent your money on and how you can do better in the next year. And I think this is the time to even talk about that, the end year reviews. How can we review how we have been doing when it comes to managing our finances this entire year of 2025 before we move over to 2026? What lessons can you learn? What corrections do you need to make? That has been covered on the Standard. And I also see how to move on after breakup, expert advice for rebuilding your life. This is covered also on the Standard newspaper this morning, helpful for those who probably maybe feel stuck. And I also see some of the news that have been given a lot of highlights here on X include Mike Sonko confronts son-in-law over assault on daughter Salma Mbuvi. I also see Chinese supervisor Xiao Zhongzhon assaults Kenyan worker in Eldoret factory, and also Kenyan man slaps officer blocking dog rescue near Narok helicopter. So of course this one is just touching on some of the news that are gaining a lot of traction and also a lot of communication online. So that is what has been reported, and you can have a look at it so that you can get informed on what is happening in our nation. But most importantly is to pray and ensure that we are trusting the Lord for a peaceful election come 2027. For me, I keep insisting and hammering that into our hearts, because that is what we need to start praying for as a nation. Pray for your nation. Pray for those leaders. Pray for God to intervene so that we'll have godly leaders seated in those offices, and so that our nation can continue to grow, so that we can move from where we are into a better place in terms of debt, in terms of dealing with corruption, in terms of our economy, in terms of education, the health sector. There's so many things that we need to keep praying to God for and even interceding. But allow me to also look a bit at the business daily this morning, just to see some of the tips we can garner from that. I see Jerry here saying companies are increasingly aware that a successful African strategy requires more than a compelling business model. Interesting here. You can have a look at it. I also see why Kenya's super rich prefer to set up trust in Mauritius. Interesting. Look at that story on the life pullout. And I see Taikon Munga, China farms roar over 4 trillion shillings coal mines. Look at that story as well. Sacco dividend cuts raise capital to record levels, and also equity funds struggle to attract investors. So that's what is being reported on the Business Daily this morning. So at this juncture, I would love to pave way for the video of the day. So let's have a look at it. When we come back, we will talk about it and see what we can learn.